Good morning. It's always hard to tell if these things have started. There's no like, you're on air. Um, Good morning. It's nice to be here with you. Here we are. Oh, the very first thing I want to say is, if you're here, can you just let me know in the comments and say hi, and that way I know you're here. Welcome to Facebook Live for Trust and Be Brave. Oh my goodness, the topic today, audition burnout. It couldn't be more perfect because I'm totally burned out. um, so I know that in the title, audition burnout, um, I'm directing it. I initially directed it toward people who are, have total audition burnout and aren't booking. But I also want to add to that. I'm going to talk about. I think there are two ways to get burned out, right? One that you're auditioning, and you're not booking, and then the other is you've got some clients, right? You have some steady clients happening, and you're working. And by the time you get done with the work, then you've got a boatload of auditions in your inbox and you're just too exhausted to get to them. And what do you do with that? Because we all know that auditions are what generate work. A wealth of auditions means it ups your chances of working, right? So auditions are imperative to our lives and livelihoods. So um, so I first want to say that audition burnout is real, and and I experience it more often than not. You know, I oftentimes look at my inbox and go, oh my God, I'm not, I can't get to all these. I'm too tired, right? I don't have the energy to do three game auditions that require accents and in-depth character understanding. Like I'm just wiped out, right? So I just want to say that it's real, and that's number one. So I totally validate the experience. Um, so let's start with what do you do when you've got audition burnout and you're not working and everything just kind of feels hopeless, right? At the crux of it is that auditioning is the job. And that's why I say it over and over, right? It really is the job. And we really have to get comfortable with that idea. We really have to accept it. And we have to find joy in the auditioning itself. Otherwise, we shouldn't do voiceover. That's really the bottom line. If there's some expectation that because you have a great audition, you should book it, we have to let that go. I saw a quote from a voiceover colleague and a friend, and I want to read it to you because I thought that it was so perfect. This is from a world class U.S. track and field athlete. Okay, so high stakes, right? High skill. Um, and the quote is this, and the person I'm quoting is Lauren Fleshman. So she's a U.S. track and field athlete and a coach. So she says, you can do everything exactly your best, exactly right. And sometimes your best isn't good enough to make the cut. And here's the most important part of the quote. Your satisfaction has to be independent of what the result is. So in voiceover terms, right, you have to be pleased with your audition, and that has to be enough. Otherwise, you're going to drive yourself crazy, right? So at the end of her quote is, well, let me go back to that. Your satisfaction has to be independent of what the result is. It has to be about how you execute and then how you move through the world. That's my favorite part of it. How you move through the world. Because if you can execute excellent auditions and be satisfied, how you move through the world will change, right? And how you move through the world will change how you audition. So they feed on each other, right? Um, so how does that address burnout, right? If you're burned out, you don't even want to audition, right? um, my answer to that is sometimes you just have to take a break. You have to take a break. You you have to let go a little bit. You have to miss your auditions a little bit, right? As crazy as that sounds. I was in a writing class for years, and I went every quarter. They were 12-week long courses, and you signed up each quarter, and we all got to know each other in this writing class. And so when someone was gone, when someone didn't sign up for a quarter, we were like, well, where's so-and-so? Like, oh, we're going to miss them. Oh, I hope they're not writing. I hope they're still writing, right? And our teacher had this brilliant idea, this brilliant phrase that when you're taking time off, you're not really taking time off. You're going out for supplies. So I love this idea. When you're a writer, when you're an artist, when you're a voice actor, we are communicating the human experience. That's our job. That's what we're doing, right? We're not doing ads. We're not showing off our voice. We're communicating to other people, right? And the more we understand life, the more we observe life, the more we understand the human experience, the better we will be at our job, right? So sometimes we have to take a break and rest and take care of ourselves. And in the resting, we are refreshing, right? But we haven't quit. We haven't stopped. What we're doing is we're going out for supplies, right? We're gathering information about life, about human experience. We're gathering information about ourselves, right? And it's a really important piece of being a good voice actor, right? And it's an important piece of having longevity in your voiceover career. So, so I just want to encourage you, if you're burned out and you're at this place where you can't even appreciate the auditions that are sitting in your inbox, take a break. Take a break, right? And sometimes we have to take a break and we have to find another way to bring income in, right? No, there's no crime in that. There's no shame in that at all. We're artists. It's the nature of our work. Work goes up, work goes down. Sometimes it's down for a long time. And that means we got to figure out another means for a while to get food on the table and pay our rent and our mortgage. And I want to tell you, I want to say it was like 2008, 2009, serious slump for me in my voiceover career. And you know what I did? A friend of mine was a manager of a winery in San Ynez, and I was living in Santa Barbara at the time in California. And I poured wine. I served, I mean, I don't know anything about wine, but I know what I like. So I guess that was enough of a prerequisite, right? That I could go in and do the job. But I went and worked her tastings, right? And I learned so much about people, and I learned how to communicate with people. And I learned how to, if I didn't know something about a wine and they asked me, what are the qualities of this wine? I would turn around and say, well, what do you taste? You just learn, right? You take advantage of whatever circumstance you're in, and you learn. You learn how to communicate. You learn how to be present. All those things are imperative to being a great voice actor. So, having burnout is totally normal. And having burnout when you're not working is frustrating. But it really is part It's part of the experience in a lifelong career. It just is. It's a roller coaster ride. And so I think what helps us in our burnout is to take care of ourselves. Sometimes we just have to step back until we see an audition in our inbox and it sparks interest and we go, oh, I could do that. I think I'd be good at that. And all of a sudden you step back into the booth and it's like, there you are again. You're present, right? Um, so so sometimes what we need is rest, I would say. Then for those of you who are working and have steady clients, and you at the end of your workday, after working for them, and getting the job done, and you see a boatload of auditions that you just can't face, my suggestion and what I do is I prioritize, right? I admit to myself that I will not get to everything, and be sane, right? Not and if I and not be bitter, you know. And so I prioritize, and work is always the priority. So you're already halfway there, right? You've prioritized your work, and sometimes it's so much work that that's enough, and you're not going to get to the auditions. Oh well, more auditions will come. They will, right? Now, if you do have a bit of energy, then you want to kind of prioritize. So the first things you want to prioritize are requested auditions. If your agent has requested you, get that read, right? If a casting director has requested you, that qualifies, obviously, right? Requested stuff. Then the next stuff is high-paying jobs, right? You could choose, right? It's either high-paying jobs or jobs that really interest you, right? They both have value. So for me, I go, oh, that's a payday. I'm going to audition for that. I'm going to summon my will, and I'm going to read for that, because if I booked it, it would be a great payday, and that would be very satisfying. Sometimes it's not that, though, right? Sometimes it's just something that fits for me, that I like, that I find interesting, that I feel attached to in some way, right? So that's next. And then everything else, read it if you want to, but if you don't. Don't let it go. You have permission to let it go. Yesterday, I worked a video game. Went out to a studio. The session was from 1 to 5. I didn't even know what characters I was reading. I was booked for something else based on an audition I did. So I didn't know the game. I didn't know the characters. I knew nothing. So I just showed up, and I did 3 characters, all of which had different accents. Like I had no idea that I was going to be doing accents. And the first one that I did, it was kind of had a witchy sound. So I was sort of talking in here, right? Wow, did that ever push me to the limit of my voice, right? And then we took a break, and then I did another character, and I got to move it up into a higher register, blah, blah, all of that. The session was an hour and a half drive and an hour and a half back. So by the time I got home, I could barely keep my eyes open, and it wasn't. It didn't take until all the way till 5. So I got home around 5:30, and when I got home, I couldn't see straight. I couldn't see straight. I was exhausted. My throat was trashed. I had affiliate work that was sitting in my inbox, right? And I had some auditions that were requests, right? And I could not keep my eyes open. So I took a nap. I went to bed, and I put a thing over my eyes, and I turned out the lights, and I slept for an hour just to get my bearings, right? Then I got up and made some dinner. But I was too tired to record that night. So I sent a note to my agent, and I sent a note to my client, and I said, I can get these to you in the morning. Can't do them tonight. And they were both like, great, no problem, right? So this leads me to the other thing about prioritizing your auditions. Because I know some of you I've spoken to and you're like, I'm afraid my agent's going to drop me if I don't send stuff in. And I can pretty much guarantee you that they're not, as long as you communicate with them. So I send notes to my agent. A few weeks ago, I was in the middle of a personal issue and I couldn't audition. And I told them, I said, I'm not going to audition for 2 weeks. Just wanted you to know I'm not being lazy. I just don't have the capacity at the moment to put my energy into it. And I don't want to send you bad reads. And they all wrote back like, no problem. Take your time. Do what you need. We'll see you when you're ready. Right? And so I think if you communicate with your agents, it's not going to be a problem. You have a right to a personal life. Right? You have a right to take care of your kids. You have a right to take care of your parents. You know, you have a right to be human and to experience tiredness and being exhausted, right? And you get to take care of yourself. And I will say this, if an agent gives you grief after you talking to them about these things, they're not worth being with. They're not. Any good agent who cares about you and cares about your well-being will understand this. They will. So it's something to think about. Nobody likes to think, oh, God, I don't want to risk losing my agent. Okay, I've been dropped from an agent. Actually, from the agency I'm with now. They dropped me, several years ago, right? Obviously, that relationship wasn't damaged forever because I'm back with them. You can survive being dropped, right? I can't fathom again that any agent worth their salt would be like, if you don't turn this in, we're dropping you. And you're like, but I've lost my voice. I'm so tired. Like, that's ridiculous. So if you have an agent like that, time to rethink that relationship. But at the core of it, right, is you want to communicate. And so I'm trying to think if there was any other thing that I wanted to say to you. I don't think so. I think I got it all. But so everybody gets burnout, right? Everybody gets burnout. It's no crime to need another job, right? So that you can take care of yourself, so that you can actually feel more secure about auditioning, because there's nothing worse than feeling like, oh my God, I can't, what do I do? I'm not booking. How am I going to pay? That's such deep worry, right? And it doesn't serve your auditioning at all. So sometimes we have to do that, right? I waited tables for the first 10 years of my career. 10 years, decade, right? And I didn't feel badly about that. And I always say, if something really went wrong these days, I'd go get a bartending job because I loved it, right? And I can really get to know people, and that, again, that adds to my wealth of knowledge about the human experience, which is what we bring to our work. So, and then if you're burned out because you're working so much, right? What a blessing that you're working so much, and congratulations for that, right? Because to have steady clients is a beautiful thing. And then you get to prioritize. You get to pick the things that matter most to you that you want to do. And if there are days when you can't or don't want to do any of it, you don't have to. Just let your agents know, okay? You obviously, if you're generating your own work and you're on pay-to-play sites, that's obviously your choice all the time, right? And you get to exercise it, right? And you're not lazy. And it doesn't mean you don't work hard, right? We hear a lot of that, right? We hear a lot of the push, 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 push. And if you're not at it 24/7, you're not really, it's not true. It's patently not true. So I don't want to keep you too long. We're at 20 minutes. So just know having burnout is totally normal. Take care of yourself. Um, Prioritize, right? And communicate with your agents. And I want to remind you of this last thing. I want to repeat this quote again. You can do everything exactly your best, exactly right. You can have a bullseye audition. And sometimes it isn't good enough to make the cut. So your satisfaction has to be independent of what the result is. It has to be about how you execute and how you move through the world, right? Okay, so I just want to say, let's see, I know. Let's see, Joanne, Adam, Erica, Jeff, Bonnie, Rebecca Reedy. What the snap? What are you doing here? Lori Firth, John, Leslie, Emily, Jenna, Terry, Drake. Hello, Drake. Beth Chaplin, Brad Highland. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And Tim, thank you. Thank you so much for being here. And I will see you in the coaching on the coaching page. As always, ask any question you wish. I've got some good topics coming up for these Facebooks Live, and I'll see you next Wednesday. So have a fantastic remainder of the week. Tomorrow we're going to do Thankful Thursdays. So what are you thankful for? Be thinking about it. All right. Ciao, ciao. Have a great one. Bye.